Hi there guys, Sam here, welcome back to another video. Join me once again in my Mark 7 Golf R to talk about the 718 Cayman GT4, a long awaited video. A part 2 really from something I did about 14 months ago when I talked about the 981 GT4 car I've driven so many times round Porsche Silverstone's Experience Centre. And I finally yesterday got the chance to drive the 718 GT4, which was a fantastic experience. And today I'm going to kind of give you my overall impressions of my kind of first drive of the car, compare it a little bit to the 981 GT4 as well. That's primarily what today's video is going to be about. If you want to know about the full experience and the whole day, including like the food, the ambience, the driving instructor and the car and the price and my kind of overall rating, I'll share that in tomorrow's video, a little bit separate to this, but today we're focusing on the 718 GT4, something I've been really looking forward to share with you lot, and yeah, and obviously experience for myself. So let's get straight into this one. So 718 Cayman GT4, I finally got the chance to drive it for 90 minutes round track, and boy, it was a fantastic experience. And some of my kind of like initial thoughts, I'll kind of do like a video of a walk around of it. It was in yellow, it had carbon ceramic brakes, it had the 981 style bucket seats, it actually had like a half roll cage as well, something I didn't realise, but something that they actually set up just to make it a little bit more safe, I guess. And the overall appearance of the car I thought was great. I thought it was the best looking car there on the day. I generally do mean that. I think the wing looked really great. I think the improvements over the 981 were really, really good. It's a sharp looking car. And yeah, everything they did on that side I think was great. Felt inside, I didn't notice too much difference. You get the usual Alcantara steering wheel with sort of like the yellow dead ahead kind of marker. That looked great, obviously with Alcantara wheels, and obviously the fact that this had done about 5,000 miles general track miles. It does wear a bit, one of those things. Manual gearbox, 6-speed, oh, so good. Same long gearing as before, you know, you'd max out about 86 miles an hour in second, so you're getting into third and then you're straight back down in second on the sort of track experience that I was doing it, giving it kind of like sort of a little bit of slow, sort of careful driving, a little bit of drift action as well, which I'll put on screen now. One of the bad things that you can't actually sort of film sort of like on the track. I think that kind of leads to the experience, which I'll explain more a little bit in tomorrow's video. But yeah, what I can show with you, obviously I'm showing with you now. The car was on Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyres, and yeah, you're pretty much full on, you know, GT style suspension. It's the 4-litre naturally aspirated engine, which they've recently kind of developed, and it sort of passed a lot of emissions regs to get in, so fantastic for that. About 420 horsepower. The car itself, I thought it was great, but my first initial impressions of it as I sort of set away was that it felt hardcore. You know, it felt firm, it felt good. You know, you could hear sort of like the rattles from, like, I suppose like stones sort of chipping up and stuff when you're sort of initially getting onto the track. More hardcore, more tyre noise. Seating position is just unbelievable. Those seats are great, bit hard to get in and out of, but yeah, it's just perfect in that regards. I thought it was great. Oh man. But no different to 981 GT4 in my opinion in that kind of sense. That was my first initial thoughts. Second one, and through the whole experience, was the noise. It didn't matter if you turn the sport mode on or not, it didn't sound anywhere near as good as the previous generation. Nowhere near as good, and to a point where it would put you off getting the car just on the noise. You know, it sounded fine, revved nicely, you know, high, sort of 8,000 RPM plus, well, or just below 8,000. Nothing wrong with that, and obviously the throttle response was great as well. I have to say the front end was really, really good, and it was a faster car, round track, and it felt faster to me, but I didn't feel as engaged, mainly because of the noise, I'd say, as I probably was before in the 981 GT4, but no doubt it's a faster car. You just don't really notice it going as fast, whereas that car, the 981 GT4, is a slower car, but you felt more involved, it felt more raw, 100%, and that's kind of what I was expecting. But to actually sort of sit down and sit in the car and sort of gather that for myself was quite important. The drive itself was great, you know, particularly towards the end. It was, you know, it was with another, the instructor was fantastic. He was in the 4-litre GTS and sort of chasing him around. It was almost like on a British back road. I absolutely loved it. It was a really great experience to kind of learn off him, and I took experience from someone who's been driving Porsches and, you know, in his 50s, late 50s or whatever. He knows the cars inside and out, and I asked him what he felt was the differences, and he said the front end on the 718 GT4 is definitely better than the 981 GT4. And then I mentioned about the noise, and he kind of agreed. And it didn't feel like that. It felt like it would turn wherever you wanted. It was so good. It's one of those things where you sort of like that, you know, you can really tippy toe it round, and that's something that's so missing in the world. And I'm just so glad that they've managed to just sneak that kind of car in. If you own a GT4, I think on the road, I think you will be fine. The clutch, that was a big thing. Much lighter. I mean, it's still firm because it's a GT product. Much lighter than the 981s. 981s, you were very much more, you know, your left leg would feel it, whereas it wasn't feeling it for me on this one. Brakes, carbon ceramics, I wouldn't say there's any difference between either of them. The 981 GT4 I drove with carbon ceramics and it was fine. Again, speaking to the instructor, he actually said for track driving, he said it'd go with steels because you get more of a brake feel. But for road, he said go for carbon ceramics because you know, they obviously are pretty phenomenal. And what he noticed as well, and which was really reiterated to me, was that unsprung weight. The weight saved for the suspension. He said that completely changed the characteristics of the car over a car with steels, and that's something you only really get from someone who really knows his stuff. The guy he taught, he listed off a reel of people that he'd instructed over the years, and obviously his experience driving cars was huge. And you can always learn off people, and I went to learn off someone who'd done a lot of laps and a lot of things in these kind of cars. And interestingly, it's opened my mind a little bit more to 911s, because he did say to me he just felt 911s was a completely different car. Don't compare them as like a Cayman as a lesser 911 or a Boxster as a lesser 911. It's a completely different car, and he's more in the 911 camp. So I will have to try a 911 again, and sort of I'm more of an open-minded person, I think, than I've ever been. You know, I just want to experience new things and kind of share it with you. To sum up, if you're wanting a car for the road, I would say 718 GT4 is better than 981 GT4. If you're wanting a bit of a special experience, I'd say I'd still go for the 981 GT4. Both cars are at home on track, and that's why these track experience for me are the way to go. You know, they're very low down cars, they're very firm, they're very track orientated, and they'll egg you on to be like that. And I think that's where they've got to spend their time. I think if you have one, you've got to take it on track, and obviously it comes at a risk because you're putting your pride and joy, you know, your wear and tear of your car, your miles of your car, but that's where it's got to be at home. And it depends what you want. I personally, as soon as I'd finished it, this happened yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind, but I had a night to kind of sleep over it. I was like, I need to get a Porsche. I want to get a Porsche. It's in my blood. It's a dream for me, if you've been following the channel from its beginning. And to have like a 981 GT4 alongside my Golf R, I think would work quite well, because it's such a raw car. But at the same time, I don't think I'd be able to get the most out of it just by pottering around the UK, particularly the way the roads are now, pothole to anything. It'd have to be on track, and in which case you can just do more experiences of this. And this is where I've come in. I've done so many experiences in that 981 GT4. I felt like I knew it inside and out. Getting in the 718 GT4, it felt like a refresher, a facelift, a little bit of a fitter, sharper car, definitely faster, but a little bit more quieter. And that's the bit where we know everything's going to go electric eventually. In decades to come, it's going to be fully electric. And in fact, even the next Cayman and Boxster models in sort of like 2024, I think, are going to be electric. So as a result of that, you want your last car to sing, and the 981 GT4, boy did it sing. This one felt great. You get like all the tech, you get the usual auto blip, you can turn traction off, you can do whatever you want to make it set to you. The car was brilliant. That sort of pivot around that mid-engined, it's so good to drive hard. And I learned a lot about how actually to like use the brakes a lot more, put the weight on the front. It was a great day out. And again, I'll explain that more in the actual experience video. But my sort of summary, as I'm coming up to the 10-minute mark, 718 Cayman GT4, brilliant car. For me, I would go for the 981 GT4. But I think if you are on the type of person that you kind of want to use your car on the road, I think that the 718 is the way to go. And also to get some fast lap times around a tighter, twistier track, not a big open track. It's not a Silverstone hanger straight kind of car. It's a, yeah, it's the test centre at Porsche is very much like a British back road. It's that kind of road, and it suited it. It suited it to the nth degree. It was a fantastic experience. It's a fantastic car. If you do have one, well done. If you don't, and you're thinking about getting one, try them both, see what you think. I would lean towards the 981 GT4, but I can completely understand why this 718 GT4 is a bit of a step up. I would hasten to guess that they've left a little bit on the table with the GT4 RS, and that might be the sweet spot, whereas they didn't have that sort of problem in the 981. So you've got that to think about. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little summary, a little bit of a long coming part 2 video, and yeah, for sure, drop a comment, let me know what you think about the 718 GT4. I hope you enjoyed the little clips as I've been talking. Yeah, I'm still sort of pinching myself. What a day, what an experience, and I'll explain more about that in tomorrow's video. So subscribe, like, share for plenty more content to come. Love my Porsche stuff, obviously do stuff on the Golf R as well. And thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers, guys.
Am I going to be famous then?